Okay, guys, we are now into our finale segment. Now, guys, our finale segment is about Kanye West. Now, if you guys aren't aware, Kanye West yesterday did his first presidential campaign. Even though we are very, very close to November, and although a lot of different cities and states have already had their, elections going on. But for the most part, he has just now decided that he would do a presidential campaign. And within that campaign, he talked about tons of things. So we are going to go over it. And I'm going to first talk about when he mentioned Harriet Tubman. So Harriet Tubman just over here minding her business, resting in peace after all her accolades that she's done for African American slaves, might I mention. And then here comes Kanye. He says that Harriet Tubman never actually freed the slaves. She just had them work for other white people. Now, where he got that information from, I have no clue. But Harriet Tubman actually did do things for the slaves. She helped free them. Um, Hence the reason that, the whole Underground Railroad was invented to kind of help get the slaves out of there. Um, but yeah, this is what he was saying. So, a lot of his peers, because I don't even know if I want to call them his friends, but a lot of his peers had to get on him about this whole situation. Snoop Dogg posted a picture of Harriet Tubman and said, "Thank you, Queen." Um, and then he added someone named Jesus is King. And I know that can't be Jesus's Instagram page because I know somebody lying. But then it says, "For you, brother." Um, and then, just a lot of other people spoke out on this whole situation as well because they were just as baffled as Snoop Dogg. So T.I. also went ahead and he spoke out because of Kanye West bringing up Harriet Tubman. And he pretty much wrote this long passage on Instagram and said this: "Nah, we can't let you do that, yay. What we not gonna do is slander nor disrespect the legacy of our heroic queen, Harriet Tubman, by telling falsities in an attempt to discredit the contributions she made to liberate our people. Cause you bugging. This is absolutely too far. Truly hope you either have a logical explanation for all this or get the medical attention you so desperately." I'm sorry. The medical attention you so desperately need, bro. I say this with love and sincerity. And then someone actually sent a message to T.I. and said, "Then say it to him privately." And T.I. added the person and said, "He ain't effing up privately. Public violations justify public demonstrations." And T.I. lately, he's been getting on my last nerve. But I must say that he's right. He deserves to be publicly checked because he made such a public statement about Harriet Tubman, and Harriet Tubman did her thing. And for him to make such a bold statement and lie on her and say that she did nothing, when if she didn't do what she did, he probably wouldn't have the opportunity to do things that he has the opportunity to do these days, that's really offending. And, if Harriet Tubman's family came out and said something to him and checked him on that, I would give them every right to. So, I agree with that. If you make bold statements like that about someone and, try to discredit their history, especially with that being an African American female, I feel like he deserved to be checked in that manner. But it didn't stop there. He went on to just do even more crazy things. At one point, a female in the audience, she decided to talk about gun reform and what was his thoughts on gun reform. And at one point, I noticed that this young lady was on the stage. I don't know from where she was in the audience to when she got on stage, but anyway, in the whole context of it all, she asked about it, and he at first started talking about, he lives in an area where he could just shoot up and just keep shooting things all over the place. And then he mentioned how he was from Chicago. And in Chicago, when you're out there in Chicago, you could get arrested for doing certain things. And you can pretty much, get in trouble for having guns. And guns are just everywhere. But if you pick it up and you use it, then you can get in trouble for it. And then I guess the girl, she started trying to redirect the conversation and tell him, hey, but what about this? And, when he came up with false information, she checked him, which, I feel like that is necessary. It's in a presidential campaign, I feel like this is the point where people need to really challenge people that are candidates for something as huge as being the president. So when she checked him, he didn't like that. So he checked her back and tried to embarrass her. And in that whole sense, the crowd decided to really hype Kanye up, because a lot of the people that are really supporting his behavior, they're literally enabling everything that he does. And they were literally hyping all of that up. And he's telling her, you're acting like how TMZ treats me. And, you can't even show your face. And for one, it was people packed in there like sardines. It was no social distancing. So I don't blame her for wearing her mask, because it wasn't her just covering her face. Newsflash, Kanye, we're in a whole pandemic where you have to wear some sort of face covering, or else you can catch a virus, So, he came at her for that. But she pretty much took it off and said, look, I can show my face. I have nothing wrong with showing my face. And then she even came out and actually explained her side of the story and further gave more information on everything. And she said that, the same thing that she did, in which she checked Kanye about, gun reform and everything, there was a white female that did the exact same thing about another topic, and he actually brought her on stage so she could pretty much converse with him and have a small little debate with him about it. And then he ended up giving her a hug and kind of congratulating her. But when it came down to this African American woman that did the exact same thing, he pretty much shamed her and tried to embarrass her in front of everyone. So I thought that was pretty interesting, but I'm glad that she came out and explained herself and explained the situation further. Now, I do want to go ahead and talk about what some other famous people had to say. Chris Brown came out, and he talked about all of this, and he posted an Insta story and said, bro, we got a lot of S to focus on that is happening around the world. This S is a distraction, which I completely agree with. I feel like lately Kanye has been trying to deflect situations and trying to push us back on certain issues because of his behavior. Trey Songz, who has been a huge advocate for, really bringing awareness towards, coonery and, Black Lives Matter movements, and pretty much showing us all these racists that are undercover or now boldly just coming out and just having all sorts of weird groups about being racist. He actually even came out about this, and he said, they've been saying man Trey need to call these ends before he just put them online blasting. Yay, you in the way of progress for real. How you turned this goofy from who you were. I'm so confused. Whoever got his number needs to call him. And guys, speaking of goofy, I almost had to make him my biggest goof, but I was like, no, I have to make a whole topic on this, because otherwise the biggest goof would have been long enough to be the finale segment. So, I had to just do things the way that I did them. But yeah, he was really on some goofy stuff.
Thank you for listening, everyone. If you enjoyed that podcast, please be sure to tune in every Monday through Friday on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Radio Public, Pocketcasts, and Anchor for the rest of that podcast.